Hello YouTube friends. It's been another busy, dry week on the small holding, but the insects have really been enjoying the weather. All the grass has gone to seed, and I'm astounded by how many different types of grass there are. This is just a small selection, but there are many more. The laburnum is in full bloom. It gives a cheerful pop of colour to the field. And the first thistle is starting to bloom. But everything has been so dry. I can stick my fingers in the cracks in the soil. I've been really worried about all the new plants that I planted since the winter. They've been struggling because of the lack of rain. So needless to say, I've been spending quite a bit of time watering, and it's not an easy task to say the least. And let me tell you, I'm not much of a waterer. I've always believed leaving plants to just struggle on by themselves. So if I'm watering, you know it's dry. I got all these plastic bottles from Welsh Water. Our water has gone off quite a few times since we moved here, and when it's been more than a day or two, they actually come and deliver bottles of water. So I am grateful for that, because usually I wouldn't have plastic bottles. I have tried filling watering cans with water and popping those into the wheelbarrow, but then the water just ends up sloshing around all over the place when I'm walking through the fields because it's so bumpy. So the bottles just help to keep everything contained, even though they take ages to fill. It's so tiring and time-consuming to do this job. And obviously the fact that I'm recording it right now means that it's taking me twice as long because I have to keep running back for the camera. Over here I'm just watering the last of the wild garlic bulbs that I planted. And I noticed that there's a couple of little baby hawthorns here, which I might transplant. The autumn fruiting raspberries that I planted have finally started to take off. I was really worried about them because they were really sulking and not doing anything. They barely were putting on any leaves, and there were definitely no new shoots. But you can see here that one of them has started to send off a new shoot. So I'm really happy about that. They've all got leaves on them now, so that's good too. I also need to water the rhubarb that I planted out. So you might remember from previous videos that I planted these rhubarb crowns when they came, but they started rotting in the heavy clay soil. So I took them out and I popped them in some pots in the greenhouse, and they did recover, and they've put on leaf now, with the exception of one variety. And while I'm over here, I'm just going to do a little bit of maintenance on this tree. So it has started to fruit, but I'm going to take them off because I want this tree to put energy into forming good strong roots rather than trying to form fruits. And you can actually see from these something has been burrowing inside them. Don't know what that could be. You can't quite tell from this video, but the colours in the field are really changing. It's becoming a lot less monotone now that spring is really romping away and we're moving swiftly towards summer. I think it's time to head inside for a cup of tea. But I can't walk through this field without showing you how everything's doing. So I know it probably looks like there's nothing cultivated going on in this field because it's just dock, nettle, creeping buttercup. But I assure you there's plenty that I've planted in here. That's my ornamental cherry tree. And that's a Gelder rose that I brought from my allotment. And that's the Magnolia stellata over there. And this is a lovely little Acer that I've planted at the entrance to this field. I really love this beautiful pink blush that it has on the new leaves. And in amongst all of these thistles is one of my favourites. It's a beautiful black elder, Sambucus nigra. I love this. Although I have to say it's more purple than black. And then not far from this beauty, I've planted my hops, which I dug up from my allotment and have kept suffering in a pot for the past 2 years. I only planted this a couple of days ago, so it's still sulking, but hopefully it will start to climb up this arch that I've popped in next to it. And then a little further again is this eucalyptus. I'm not going to allow this to grow into a tree. I'm going to try to keep it as a shrub. And then just a little way from that is this beautiful broom, which is now in full bloom. I have to say, I can't remember buying the red one. I don't normally go for red flowers. I'm sure I bought a yellow one, but I could be wrong. And then a little further along, we have the Mahonia, which is not doing too well. The leaves have lost their beautiful glossy sheen and it's got this black spot all over it. I don't think it's happy in the soil. And then over here in amongst the creeping buttercup and dock is this cornus. It's got lovely red stems. And over there is the pussy willow, which I have to say looks rather boring and invisible now that the catkins have disappeared. And then this is the prostrate willow, the one that creeps along the ground. It's a couple of days later, and I'm just taking some cuttings from this lilac because it's really long and straggly. Part of it's already died off. And I really want to try and propagate it because these flowers are so beautiful and they smell divine. I don't always have the best of luck with cuttings, so I've bought this organic rooting hormone in the hopes that it will help. Wish me luck. I've created this bed so that I can plant some of these bedding plants that I bought recently. So this is the bed that I covered in the winter. I covered it with cardboard and then a thick layer of wood chip. And the idea was that I was going to plant some lavender into this. And I did plant 2 of the 6 lavenders that I had, but they kept getting buried by the wood chip because the birds just kept digging around and flicking all the wood chip on top of the baby plant. So I gave up on that plan and I just left it. And now it looks like it's suitable for planting into. So I've gone round it with an edging tool just to stop the encroachment of the grass. And now I'm going to plant all of these into it. Right, that's that all planted up. It doesn't look like much now. But I'm hoping that over the summer these plants will get bigger, not be eaten by slugs. Lots of the pots had slugs hiding at the bottom in the holes. So yeah, hopefully this will look nice. A lot of these are good for pollinators. I bought a couple of pollinator collections. So I bought these lavender plug plants from an online nursery because behind me over there I want to put in a lavender spiral. So I think I went overboard. They were only little ones, you know, they're the ones that only get to about 40 or 50 centimetres in diameter. But I bought 200 and when they came I thought, oh God, why did I buy so many? And I wasn't particularly happy with them because, you know, when you get plug plants, they're these tiny little things. But they were really leggy, all of them were really leggy. So I planted them on into bigger cells, and then I trimmed the tops so that they'll bush out a bit. I'm hoping I've done the right thing. So in my last video, was it the last video? I'm sure it was. When I planted the roses, I made those 2 beds in the field next to me here, and I planted the roses. And 2 of them were David Austin roses. And I was talking about how the instructions from David Austin were to plant it so that the soil level is above, you know, that apex thing where all the branches come out. Whereas all the other ones, the ones that I had bought from a local garden centre, there were 9 of them. I didn't do that. That little axis bit I left above the soil. And someone, thank you very much to you, left a comment saying that the reason why you plant them under is because it stops windrock. And then, so I did a bit of research about it, and it also stops suckering. And when I planted roses at my allotment, I did get a lot of suckers. So I think I'm going to have to dig up all 9 of those roses and replant them, dig the holes deeper and replant them. And I'm just so dreading it. Because basically I thought it was like trees. So you know when you buy fruit trees and you've got the graft, so you've got the rootstock, and then you've got the, you know, the trunk is grafted on. You're supposed to leave that above the surface of the soil, aren't you? Because you don't want whatever's up there to start rooting into the earth, and then you'll have a different rooting system, and the tree will potentially grow in a different habit, to a different way, or it'll get much bigger. Or, I'm waffling, I don't know enough about this to actually talk about it, but anyway, the point is that you're supposed to plant it above soil. So I thought the roses were the same, that when you have that point, that axis, or that little thing that looks like a graft, that you leave it above the soil. And a couple of them are quite high above the soil, because I was fed up of digging. There were so many rocks when I was digging the holes. I was so fed up that I was like, oh, it's fine if it's a little bit higher. I'll put lots of wood chip on around. So yeah, I have to dig those all up. I just can't face it now. I'll do it after. Oh, should I? I was about to say I'll do it after the rain, because it's supposed to be, it's Thursday today, it's supposed to start raining tomorrow night and then rain for almost a week, which I'm not unhappy about, I have to say, because I have been watering everything by hand here, and it is so difficult. I tell you what, when I had an allotment, I used to feel so aggrieved at watering because we weren't allowed to use hose pipes. And to be honest, I have used a hose pipe here, and I actually don't like it. I much prefer the watering can method. So I used the water tank, you know, they'd be like, I don't know if all allotments are the same, but there's a big water trough, and it's got that balloon thing in it, much like a toilet tank has in, so that when you take some water out, the balloon goes down and then it fills up with water until the balloon is at the right point. I don't know why I'm wasting time telling you this. Anyway, that tank was on the plot next door to mine, so I had to walk to it and walk back, which meant walking anywhere between 10 meters and 30 meters, depending on where on my plot I had to go to water. And I used to think, every time I was doing that, I used to think, oh, I can't wait to have my own place. I'm not going to have to do this nonsense anymore. And now it's not 10, 20 or 30 meters. I have to walk through fields, you know. It is not easy. Anyway, I think I'm going to leave the video there, because otherwise I'm just going to carry on complaining about the fact that I have to dig those roses up and replant them. Oh, honestly. It's never a mistake I'll make again, I guess, isn't it? I'll catch you again next time.